The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki. Hello, here I am. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. Welcome. I have morning voice too. We were just talking about having I just sound smoky, a little bit worn out. But I'm excited for the show today. Welcome to the podcast. In studio with me is Taylor McGraw.
Hello.
And then Brian Frangie is here.
Yeah, I got the smoky voice too. It's great.
Yeah.
Really.
But yours makes sense, you and Noah, because you're in an earlier time zone.
Yeah.
It's early here too, though. I feel like 10:15. It's pretty early. And I'm still on the West Coast time zone. I got back yesterday. How long before it is out of your system? You're just
3 days.
No way. I think it gets out of mine. I'm not joking you. 12 hours. And then I'm hungry at all the right times again, sleepy at the right times.
Lucky.
But I'm very dependent on melatonin, and I'm also hungry all the time, so that doesn't really change anything. Melatonin is my boyfriend. It's
you
the
have
best.
an addiction?
No, because I think it doesn't go up beyond 15 milligrams. People might scoff at that, but I take 15 milligrams a night, and it knocks me out so good. And I do wake up 2 hours later, but I can always get back to sleep pretty easily. Oh, sorry, the fan just turned on. If you guys hear that, I apologize.
When I was in college,
when people struggle sleeping and I say melatonin, just try it. Oh, it doesn't work for me. Try a different brand. It's one of these things I can't give up on for people. People don't understand their sleep is killing them. If you don't sleep, you gain weight. You die faster. You're more stressed. Yeah. I just saw a study that said people who lack of sleep leads to dissatisfaction with your partner.
Mm-hmm. Dissatisfaction with everything.
Yeah, it makes you cranky.
Yeah,
but that's just one of the things. Yeah.
You'll be driving to work,
screenshotted it because I've been a little bit of a cranky bitch in my relationship recently, and so I screenshotted it for Chris. It says, research suggests that poor sleep can lead to increased feelings of anger, which in turn negatively impacts our perceptions of our romantic partnerships. So our perceptions of them, obviously, I hate when studies are duh. If you're sleepy.
Yeah,
but
you might
I feel
be a jerk.
So many people are sleep deprived and they don't even realize that they are, and they're just cranky all the time, or they you just don't. It's like when a baby doesn't realize it's sleepy and it's crying. It's like
someone needs a nap.
And everyone's like, someone needs a nap, and it's so insulting when you're a baby.
Oh my god,
or a kid and says someone needs a nap. Oh, someone needed a nap this week for me. I was a little cranky baby. I was like, do you ever catch yourself getting upset about something and you in the middle of it know you're wrong?
Oh god, every day of my life. Every day.
It's so
But you just have to keep chugging on or change a subject.
Because
or be did you think
I just go,
where you want to go to dinner?
Go sleep. And I needed a nap. Luckily that was what I went
We
and
gotta
did,
be able to say that to adults. If there's someone complaining at a store and they're like, why don't you have the color of shirt I want?
Yes.
And the
sleep
person
deprived.
Goes, somebody needs a nap.
Looks like someone. We should totally be saying that because it is true.
People
and it's
do
so
say
condescending.
It's so
but they don't
rude.
say it the kid way.
Road rage.
I haven't had someone say, look, Nikki, you need does someone need a nap? I haven't had someone say that to me since my mom.
Dorks say that.
It's true,
dorks
though.
at the library are
Someone needs a nap.
Oh, really?
yeah, it's a turtle thing to say.
You worked at the library, so you know.
I know.
And turtles
I know where
are
dorks live.
the dork population of our high school. They were referred to as the turtles because they hung out on these sculptures of turtles, and that's where they would. That's why Taylor said turtle.
That's where they
there were these big sculptures of turtles, and that's where they would go and just they lounged on the turtles like turtles, sunbathing on them, just still motionless, but also holding each other.
And you
that's
couldn't
what we
go
would call
on
it
the turtles
creating,
unless you were one.
Yeah.
My sister told me a story that her first day when she was a freshman, I'm older than her, she sat on a turtle in between classes, and I went and grabbed her and I was like, don't you ever sit by that turtle again. God. That's social suicide. I was like, I did not say social suicide. I did not say that. But the rest of it's true.
That is probably true that we
Somebody
did not want to be associated
the
with
mark
the
of the beast, but the beast was just a little turtle.
I just remember that one day we were we weren't even making fun of the turtles. There was someone that was, and I guess we looked over at them or something, and one of the turtles came over in a trench coat. Like this was trench coat mafia days. Like
TCM.
we're trying to be Columbine-y and like weird and goth. And they would draw like anime cats in like porn Renaissance
Hell
gear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Always sketching
Brian.
anime.
Oh yeah, that's my type of thing.
And this girl, Laura, I'll never forget. I was kind of like, she's a badass. She walked over to our table, which was not popular girls. We like the popular girls, you know how they were like further that way? Do you know what I'm talking about, Taylor? Like popular table is this way.
Yeah.
This was there was like another table here. This was our table. And then Turtles was over here. Right? Okay. So she didn't pick the popular table, who was probably making fun of her.
Yeah.
And listen, I wasn't perfect in high school. I definitely made fun of the dork kids like I do about
not to their
everything, but
faces.
never to their faces.
We were
never like
quiet.
shoving them or like tripping
Yeah, we
them or
weren't
like
bully.
giggling. Like I'm always very aware that everyone, like I'm not someone who will be like, I've had friends before be like, oh my God, there's a little person. There's a little person. And they don't say little person, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, even if that little person hears you whisper, they know you're talking about them. So shut up. Stop doing that. Or like nudging someone when you see someone like with no arms
that
or no
person looks
legs.
weird.
And they like, it's just like, God, that person's so aware. I know
Yo.
when I've looked like crazy, I've been very aware that everyone's talking about me and you can hear everyone whispering all the time. So like, just be cooler. So I was never that way, but
Maybe they're not
did I
aware
mock?
anymore. Maybe because it's happening all the time. They're just like
They
have
just don't
tuned it
care,
out.
probably.
That's a good
Yeah.
question. I wonder if you eventually just tune it out because you would have to because it becomes. I think as a little person walking down the street, the amount of attention you get and people like looking and then not looking and like, is it rude to look?
Yeah.
Or if you're really obese, or if you just have like if you're a burn victim or.
Weird. This Russian women in the store, in the like international store, they were skinny, but their asses were enormous, like a pregnant spider. It was crazy.
from surgery, probably.
I don't know, I guess. But the mom, who is a lot older, also looked the same. So I think it was kind of natural. But I followed them through the store. I couldn't stop. It was like an actual like.
I do love.
I've never had
looking
that.
at body. I love anomalies.
I love, like being like, oh my God, that's not like me. That's not what I look like.
Yes.
Whoa.
There's a really thing that annoys me in people that I almost like I have to like turn away because it bugs me so much. And I'm so sorry
I have
if
it?
someone, you could. Like this is forever. This is inclusive. But it's something that if your pronation on your feet, like if
I know all about
like
that.
if you're wearing flip flops. Okay, it's usually only on flip flops that you can tell because it has to be a shoe, a sandal that the heel can like go off the seat.
It becomes a wedge.
If your heel is touching like the ground almost like on one side, like you're over pronating in either way, I can't handle it.
It looks like
so
a used
painful.
eraser.
Yes.
Like when people have like tennis shoes and
And
they're
I'm
like,
just like,
"Skull."
just straighten
Like-
your leg. And I know that these are things that people can't help, and I'm so sorry if it's
Brian's
you.
face.
Because I have to say this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I overpronate in my hips, so I look like a banana all the time, and I'm not comfortable to look at either. If someone has like really good posture, I'm sure they look at me and go,
I'm trying to straighten my
what's
posture
wrong with
right
her?"
now, so
And
I
they
don't
follow
look
me
as-
around a grocery store just gawking. But there are certain things
I'm
that I can't
bow-legged.
take.
Sometimes people point that out.
That's cute.
So I've seen that on you. That doesn't bother me.
And it's like a bow and arrow. My legs. When I was a little kid, and I used to ride my
always thought
bike.
it was like
I thought it was like a bowl, like you're holding a bowl in it.
No.
Bowl-legged.
You thought it was bow-legged? I thought it was like
No, I
tying
didn't.
a birthday bow.
I guess I did think it was bow.
I didn't think it was like a bow and arrow. I thought it was
Oh,
that's
I-
amazing.
I got confused somewhere.
I don't know what
Okay, it
the
is bow and
actual
arrow.
answer is, but when I was a little kid, I used to ride my bike, and my legs would stick out, and so my knees would stick out, and so I'd ride my bike like I would imagine
Like-
an old Jewish man would.
It probably didn't fit you if
Yeah.
you had to stick out your legs too
Yeah.
much. You know, it's probably too small.
This is the bow-leggedness. My legs would not go in; they would stick out, and everyone else was like, "Look at you, you chicken freak!" They'd say
You would
that.
have looked awesome on a horse. No one would have noticed.
Oh yeah,
Great jockey.
You would be like strapped
Big hog.
onto the horse with ease.
Similarly,
Yeah.
when I tried out for the basketball team in high school, the coach said that I run like a caveman because of my bow
That's
legs.
insulting.
Mean.
That they
Yeah.
can be so mean. I had a limp in field hockey And they called me Grandma Jennifer because my hair was straight like Jennifer Aniston's because I ironed it. I was the only one that figured out how to literally put an iron to your hair and get that straightness. Wait, you and I both discovered it together.
Yeah.
I think you maybe got me into it. I'm sorry that I didn't
don't
give
know.
you that.
No, you might have.
Or stolen.
No,
We did it
Taylor and I
together.
used to literally straighten our hair on an ironing board. I can still do it to this day. And people go, if I don't have a straightener and don't have a curling iron and I'm in a town and I don't want to just have fuzzy hair.
If I'm in a town.
If I'm in a town, I pull out that straightening, I pull out that ironing board. I fire up that, I turn off the steam because you don't want the steam going.
No, hell no.
And you don't spray starch on it.
No.
And you put it on about like a medium high heat because that's what a good cheese straightening iron, like back in the 90s, they would not trust it to be that hot. Like you couldn't get a good straightening iron in the 90s, early 2000s. There was impossible to have Jennifer Aniston like straight hair. I don't know because that was before blowouts were invented. Like I did not know how to straighten my hair. Like it really is
there's
so
a different
simple.
way.
You just get a curling brush and you blow dry it. Like that's all. And you need kind of a nozzle on the blow dry to have a more direct thing. But what would my dad say?
He said he would come down and say
into his dressing room where we would be ironing our hair.
We would be in his closet. He would come downstairs and say, "What the hell, Nikki? It smells like the Holocaust down here."
I go, "Why do you know what the Holocaust smells like? Why do you assume like?" It was because it was burnt hair. And so he was just, I only remember it because you were like so freaked out by that. And I was like, that's just a normal thing for my dad to say, I guess.
was like, how does he, what?
Why would he know? And he
would
doesn't know. No, he wasn't around then. Or I guess, no, he wasn't. He was born in the 50s. I was like, could he have been a child and just been around there? But what I was saying was Laura from the Turtles came over to our table.
Oh shit!
Beelined it, and like the
Big
turtles
mistake.
like no, it actually was This is what gave me like
We weren't cool, so this was like a cool thing for her
and she
to
just
do.
stood over and was like, "Stop looking at us! Stop making fun of us!" She like stood up for herself and screamed at us, and I remember being like, "Oh, I hope she doesn't think." She definitely did. She was looking at all of us, looked us all in the eye. Like I just think it's so cool when a dork rebels and is like stands up for themselves and is like, you guys are pathetic.
Even though we
Stop
are
making fun of us.
dorks too. So it wasn't that hard.
I don't feel like we were not even close to turtle
No.
dorks.
When a
Not
dork
even
rebels.
close.
That's a great Robert Frost poem.
It was awesome, but I felt it was misguided. But what do I know? Maybe
she
there was,
needed to get something out. Good for her.
Yeah,
She should have done it to the poppies.
It
though.
stayed with me forever.
What did we call the populars? Did we have a name? No, just
No,
the
I just think
popular.
They didn't
Popular,
sit on any
yeah.
animal statues, so you couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, there's no other.
They didn't sit on the like statue of a cock.
We called them smokers.
Oh.
The smokers.
Smokers.
Which turned into smokers. They would always like. I guess those weren't populars. Those
we
were
called
just, like,
them
kinda dead
white
dudes.
hats. The guys. 'Cause
Really?
They all wore white hats.
That's
back
in
then.
Columbine, the book. They call them white hats, and they were trying to kill white hats.
Oh, maybe I'm getting
But
that from the
was-
book.
yeah,
I probably.
It was. We didn't call them white hats,
Okay.
and neither did the Columbine kids. That was a rumor. The Columbine
Damn it.
kids, as sorry to interject my Columbine knowledge,
No, I want to.
they
have
weren't.
that in here.
They were popular. They weren't. They were like us.
Yeah, they weren't like-
They
they weren't
dorks.
turtles.
They weren't
Wow.
turtles. They weren't
They
seeking
didn't
revenge on the
wear
popular kids. They were
the trench
bullied a
coats
little
all
bit.
the
There
time.
was bullying. The trench coat mafia was something that was started by a generation or like before them. They were like the older kids that had graduated 2 years already prior that had a trench coat mafia that was just like a bunch of dorks that wore trench coats. And Eric and Dylan had asked for trench coats for Christmas or something and wore them like occasionally, but it wasn't.
Yeah, they
They
weren't
didn't call
like-
themselves the
So
TM.
stupid. They should have just started
TCM.
doing comedy. I mean, the amount of school shooters who've
Yeah.
been saved
They
by
should've been
stand-up comedy
Flasher.
has got to be
That's
in the
so
hundreds.
funny.
It's got to be.
It's interesting that they don't turn into shooters at some point. Like that
Like
they
after
don't
they
come to an
fail?
open mic.
I mean,
yeah, it's really demoralizing.
All right, wait. Knock on wood for that.
They-
Please don't do that. If
they
you're-
kind
Oh,
of
yeah, please
want.
don't.
They like kind of want torture, don't you think?
Oh,
They're like kind of masochistic. I mean, getting on stage and like doing stand up is a little bit masochistic.
You want to know the craziest Columbine thing? I think. I mean, besides the fact that it was supposed to be a gigantic bombing and they were trying to redo the Oklahoma City bombing, so it was a failed bombing. It wasn't a school shooting. They never intended it to be a school shooting. They wanted it to be like a massive bombing, which is very fascinating to me. But the more fascinating thing was, and this happens a lot in these like shooting things. I'm sorry, if trigger warning, literally.
Trig.
They got bored.
What do you mean?
killing people.
Oh, yeah.
That's because people,
I thought you meant
whenever
before.
there's a shooting, I don't know about you guys.
They get bored
I
or
always
too
go,
disgusted.
why aren't there more? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just
It's hard
because
work.
it is hard work. I didn't realize that how hard that is part of it.
And
but
guns are hard to get.
apparently Eric and Dylan got bored and were also kind of disgusted by what they saw. Like it was a lot different
Didn't
than
they
watching
get like
these,
shot on site though? Like how
Stink.
how can someone tell that?
No,
They shot themselves.
how could someone tell
Yeah,
that?
that they got bored.
wrote
well, I
notes.
guess it's no, they didn't. It's all speculative that they got bored, but they could have killed so many more people. There were so many more people in the library, and one of the guns backfired, and Eric's nose got broken, so he was in a lot of pain. He was annoyed,
Aw.
and they say for a lot. I know
Poor
they say for a
guy.
lot of psychopaths, it just doesn't. They're searching for this like feeling, and it didn't
Yeah.
give them that, and they were like, "This isn't."
That they're going to feel like
And
powerful. And
they wanted to shoot out with the cops, and the cops were not coming in to kill
Oh,
them.
brother.
And they were waiting in the library, and the cops would not enter. And so the SWAT team wouldn't enter, and so they were just in there trying to like shoot out the window, trying to get something going with them, and they wouldn't shoot back at them. And so they eventually just shot themselves.
Please.
But
God.
Shoot
Yeah,
I
they
just
got-
think it's fascinating to get bored, to be like, oh, this doesn't do it.
I don't
for
believe
me.
they got bored. I think
Really?
they not bored per se. I think they probably were like, this is disgusting. People are just like crying, like peeing,
This
like
isn't cool.
shitting, like blood
right.
stinks.
Now my nose is broken. Yeah,
Yeah.
it stinks. Yeah,
Like profound
this is just
disappointment.
screaming.
stinks
Yeah,
like this stinks.
yeah, this sucks. Get me out of here.
This is boring.
boring.
We never do anything. I just recently heard, I guess it wasn't recently, but some comedian had a bit about how when you're a kid, all you say to parents is like, we never do anything. We always just sit around. I want to do something. And then when you get to be an adult,
Probably
all
not
you want to do
anymore.
is like, you talk to someone after a weekend at work and you're like, what'd you guys do all this weekend? And they go, I didn't do it.
It was a weekend.
It was
Oh,
amazing.
That's John
and like how
Mulaney.
doing nothing, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Of course it is. It's such a good point because I remember saying as a kid all the time, we never do anything.
Yeah, come on, you never say
Someone
yes.
needs a nap. All right, let's go to break and then we'll come back and talk about our weeks. I want to talk about me doing the Tom Sandoval podcast and what amazing thing I got out of that.
Oh yeah.
And then I want to talk about my schedule last week, which is insane. And I want to talk about this
And an
weekend, some
airport story.
besties that I met.
I have a
Yes,
thing
it
I
was
wanna
not
talk
my
about.
airport story, but it was like a besties airport story. That's really good. And what Brian?
I
tease it?
want to ask you about this commercial feud. That if this, I was fascinated by a commercial feud, and I want to know if you think it's fascinating.
Oh, all
Commercial
right. Is it a sport? Did it air during the NFL game yesterday?
It very well may have. It's a very well trodden commercial.
Okay, cool. We'll get to it when we get back.
It's trodden.
Trodden.
Yeah, it's pretty
Sodden.
It's well trodden.
Okay, we're back. Let's get to the commercial feud. I'm really intrigued now. So
Yeah.
you say that there's two companies that are feuding. I'm
Yeah,
trying
and
to even think of one.
I'm not trying to give a shout out to these
Pepsi and
companies.
Coke.
I don't like either of these companies. I don't think anybody does, honestly. And I don't want to give them
Yeah.
free the point of a commercial is to get people to talk about the commercials, and so it's succeeding, and that I hate.
Oh,
Capitalism has
yeah.
worked. But this was pretty interesting to me. There's this commercial that I think universally everybody hates. It's a Metro T-Mobile commercial, and their new phrase is "nada yada yada," and they have this horrible, horrible song where in the background playing the whole time. I'll play for like 3 seconds if it works.
Okay.
And this yada yada. I don't know, kid. That one makes sense.
Oh, I haven't seen this, but I kind of have hate it.
Okay, so it's like
I've heard it in the background,
Yeah,
and I've noticed
exactly.
that they're
Ugh.
doing yada yada. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, why are they doing yada yada? Is that an homage to Seinfeld? Why are they doing this?
has
And then
to
the
be.
song is so bad. It's nada yada yada, nada yada yada, and it's annoying and terrible. And the comments on some of the comments on YouTube underneath where this commercial were posted are just everyone's in agreement. This is like the opposite of Israel. Every time this commercial comes on, I start internally screaming. I like how we're all searching for this commercial, even though it induces migraines. Damn, this sucks. This commercial aged very quickly. I'll open a line if you remove this ad from existence. Why do commercials nowadays have to be so goddamn annoying like this one? Everybody on the internet agrees it sucks. But the
Right.
question is, do you think this is an homage to Seinfeld? Do you think they went nada
Isn't
yada
George
yada?
Costanza in it?
No, not this one. They did several.
Isn't he
Metro.
in other ones?
Wait, yeah, he
Well,
was
that's
in
where the
something.
feud begins. But the first question is, do you think that this is a Seinfeld thing? Is that why they're saying nada yada
Yada
yada?
yada. Yada yada is
Yes.
Seinfeld. It was never
100%.
existed before then. They owe Jerry Seinfeld money.
Yeah.
It did exist
100%.
before. Yada yada did exist,
Really?
but they popularized it. Yada yada is not one of the phrases that Seinfeld like double dip and close talker and man hands. Those were actually the first time it was
Okay.
ever said was Seinfeld. Yada yada was said, but
She's
then
got man
Seinfeld
hands.
brought it into like the zeitgeist
The
as to what it is
zeitgeist.
today.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a zeitgeist move. So do you think that they're doing yada yada as a Seinfeld homage? But they're also saying nada yada yada. They're not mentioning Seinfeld at all. What do you think?
Yes, of course. They are capitalizing on the popularity of yada yada being a thing from Seinfeld, but they're not going to claim that it is, there's no way that it's not.
Yeah.
Like trying to get people who know that phrase from Seinfeld to like pay attention.
Mhm.
Even if they knew it before, they know that they wouldn't put it in the commercial. They know people know about it from Seinfeld.
Yes.
Because you have like a
I gotta
old
see the
Jewish grandma
commercial.
that says it. Is it like a lot
Well,
of
and
people
then-
say it, or is it like New York people that are Jewish say it?
I don't think anyone says it not in
Yeah, I
reference to
think maybe-
Seinfeld
Before
nowadays.
Seinfeld, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Not
before- I don't know.
anymore. Not anymore. But yeah, back in the 80s, people were saying it all the time.
No,
Constantly.
I doubt
nobody's
it.
saying but
Okay, so what's the feud?
but also the weird thing about this commercial is that like they're not even using yada yada right. They're going nada yada yada. Like there's no yada yada. That doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
what's
to
the
what
nada
Seinfeld
part?
established it. Not any yada
and
yada.
yada.
They just
It was yada yada yada. It was 3 yadas for Seinfeld.
Yeah, they
It's just
replaced
so
one with a
stupid.
nada.
Yada yada yada. I got the
they
lobster
just like that it
bisque.
rhymed. When
Okay.
they say nada yada yada, they mean that there's no bullshit in the contracts, which is not really what
Oh my
yada yada
God.
means. That means you skip over stuff. It's like kind of almost there, so it's super annoying.
Have you ever bought something because of a commercial?
No. Oh, well,
Like,
I wanted
I'm sure
something.
subconsciously
You do
we
it
have.
subconsciously.
That's
you do
the
it
thing.
subconsciously, yeah.
I think
I don't
consciously,
think
have you
so.
ever? I will say that the Pete Davidson commercial for Taco Bell, Chris and I were agreeing that it's like the best vehicle for him. Like it's just a good. It starts out
Oh,
behind
yeah.
the scenes, and they're like
Better-
setting up the commercial, and he's like talking about like Taco Bell doesn't have breakfast. What? That'd be like, what did he say? Putting a pharmacy on top of a mountain. That'd be like, and he does all these dumb analogies that are really poorly written. I feel like he should have gotten a once over
yeah.
for that script. But, and then it cuts to the commercial and he's like, Taco Bell now has breakfast tacos. And that I turn to Chris and I don't eat anything that's in that breakfast taco, literally not one ingredient. But I go, and because sometimes I don't even know what is good anymore in terms of like, I used to be a junk food connoisseur as a kid and
Mhm.
know all the best stuff, but now I'm
Yeah.
just out of it. And I turn to Chris and I go, that's good looking, right? Like that looks amazing. He's
In
like,
the
you're 100%
commercial-
correct. It looks so fucking good.
That's not what it's going to look like in real life.
Yeah, but it's a very simple thing. It looks like a quesadilla, It just- which are pretty easy to look like that as long as you get that cheese pull. Okay, what's the feud?
I do feel like that's true, that Taco Bell is a better vehicle for Pete Davidson than SNL was. The feud is so then another commercial came out with Jason Alexander as a response to this commercial, which when I was watching the Jason Alexander commercial, I was like, is this part of the other campaign or is this a new? And then I looked into it and I was like, oh, this is their rival. This is
Cricket,
it was T-Mobile versus it's weird. They're all changing their names, but
Verizon.
yeah, this is basically like a Verizon called Visible. They're calling Visible by Verizon. So it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know why they're
Cheaper.
changing their names. Why are they calling themselves Visible? But that's what they're doing. And so
and it's like HBO Max. There's a reason we're not
Because there's a
we're not
whole
in those
Stupid,
marketing
because they're all
department that needs to
stupid.
justify their jobs.
yeah.
Shots fired.
So in
Getting
this
bored.
commercial, I don't know if you've probably seen this commercial where Jason Alexander is sitting in a boardroom with two like smug boardroom guys who are like, here's what we're going to, and I didn't realize that, but that is a direct attack. The boardroom guys are the guys, they're portraying the guys who came up with the other commercial, the nada yada yada commercial. And Jason Alexander is going in there saying like, you don't even know what yada yada means. Why are you doing this? You guys are stupid.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then
So out of context, does that commercial make no sense?
it does.
like-
At first, I saw it 4 times, and I was
think
like,
that's
"Why is
why
he
I
doing this?"
haven't glommed onto it, because if
Okay,
I
I
see
haven't
anything
seen
with a Seinfeld person in it doing, I'm going to pay attention to that ad. That one
Yes.
has not piqued my interest yet.
No. And I didn't get that it was an attack on the other thing. These people are up their own asses. They're like, everybody's talking about the nada yada yada commercial. We need to respond. And so they
Everyone's
got
talking
Jason-
about Taylor Swift. That's the only thing everyone is talking about that you can comment on, and literally everyone is
Yeah,
commenting
well,
on
that's
it.
what I'm saying.
There's
They're
nothing
wrong.
else culturally.
So-
Maybe the war, but they're not going to go there. But yeah.
So they paid Jason Alexander probably like $1 million to respond to this nada yada yada commercial that nobody gave a shit
Do you know
about.
Jason Alexander was kind of shitty?
Yeah.
Like,
I
I-
was an a-hole.
Well, I just saw one instance of it. So who knows if this is just maybe he was trying to be entertaining on Howard Stern. A lot of times you go on these shows and you want to have like a good story, something that's going to like pop. And especially Howard Stern, if you're not into anal, like what do you got? You know, you got to bring something to talk about
You have
that's
to
going to
talk
make
about
him
sex.
excited. So he said that Susan, he like
Uh-huh.
volunteered this without even being like prodded on it. You know, Susan, his wife on
Yeah.
Seinfeld, who dies from the envelopes.
Yes.
She was killed off because he didn't like acting opposite her, and that it was joyless and he couldn't feel inspired. I mean, I'm paraphrasing and it's been a
Jeez.
while since I've seen it. Brian, you remember, right?
Yeah.
Was this, am I accurate?
Yeah, I mean,
Her character's annoying.
you're accurate in telling me what you told me already. So
Oh, I already told you this. Well, no, like look it up, Brian, look it up and see what he said about Susan on Howard Stern, because he really did say, we had to kill her off because I didn't like acting with her. And this poor woman, first of all, she was awesome. She was good.
Her character was annoying, but I thought it was supposed to be.
Exactly.
Like, she's like,
But I don't know what it's like to like if
dolls,
you're the
come
star of a
on.
show and someone comes on and is cast as your wife, and then they're
Yeah,
like,
but
you just don't
he's-
have chemistry and you
is he
have
the
power enough to kill them
star?
off. Should you? Yeah, he was an absolute star
Oh,
of Seinfeld.
He's not the
Seinfeld is not
star,
Seinfeld
though.
without George Costanza.
No,
Yeah,
oh my
but do you
God.
think they did
Quote.
what Jason Alexander wanted?
Yes.
Do you want the quote?
Jason Alexander is definitely
Yeah,
top
yeah,
four,
quote.
top 4 on Seinfeld.
Okay, so he
Cool.
says.
Jason Alex. Oh,
sorry.
you have it. I have it too.
Okay,
Go on.
At the same time.
Okay, ready?
All right, here we go.
No, don't do that. We're not
Jason
saying.
says.
I.
No, I'm not doing it.
Okay, he goes. I love
You guys aren't good at
Swedberg.
that.
She's a terrific girl. I love her. I couldn't figure out how to
Ugh.
play off her. Her instincts for doing a scene where the comedy was and mine were always misfiring. And she would do something, and I would go, "Okay, I see what she's going to do. I'm going to adjust to her." And then I'd adjust, and she'd change.
I think it goes into more like it. It was just interesting. I think it's the first time I've ever heard someone say like I didn't like them, so I had them gone. Which, you know what, I appreciate the honesty, because that happens a lot in Hollywood and they don't talk about it. And it's just one example of someone being like, "No, go away." You know what? Actually, I was listening to Fran Lebowitz on. This is actually apropos. Julia Louis-Dreyfus's podcast, "Wiser Than Me," I think is the name of her podcast, and she just talks to older women about like what they've learned, and it's so good. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus is just an amazing host and an amazing person. I love her so much. She was out talking to Fran Lebowitz, who said that she, you know, Fran is like she's such an interesting person, so smart, so fascinating, so funny. But she was saying, I hold grudges and I don't forgive. Forgiveness is overrated. She's like talking about how she really sticks it to people. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus is begging her, like, one example of doing this, like, of like, you know, and she pretty much says, all right, I'll give like, I'm never going to name names. She's very like staunchly, immediately Julia Louis-Dreyfus like gives up. She's like, come on. And she's like, I'm not going to. And she's like, okay. And then she's like, I will say that if there is someone, they do me wrong, I think you're never going to get the thing. I have connections to that person so that you'll never get that thing that you want the rest of your life. Something to that effect. And then Julia Louis-Dreyfus says, I've also played that card. And I love that because I plan on playing that card when I have a late night show someday. And there's a certain girl that wants to come on that was rude to me at a taping. I have a list of people that if I have a late night show someday and they want to promote their new album or whatever, and I just go, no, they're actually not coming on. I like find out that day. Because a lot of times, like, I bet Jimmy Kimmel finds out who the guests are as he enters in. And I would go, no, actually, I'm going to have on Brian Franchi today instead of that person because I'll call up a friend if we need to fill in. You can tell them to go home. But we already bought their hotel and paid for their flight. I'll eat the cost. They're not coming on my show. I can't wait for that. Their whole team is there. They picked out a dress. They spent thousands of dollars on hair and makeup.
Why not?
And it's like, remember I was that girl that you didn't think was going to ever be anything? I love that kind of payback. I mean, who doesn't?
It's a bitch is what it is.
But my whole life revolves around trying to accomplish that.
Oh my God. The best version of that I ever had, and I've probably told it on the show before, but I was, I'll say Pete Lee and I had like a love affair when we were very young, 21, I think I was. And I thought I was going to be with him forever. And he was dating this girl at the time. And yes, I knew about her and I didn't care. So kill me. And he was like, oh, I don't know how to choose between you two. And like, it was this girl and his relationship was kind of falling apart. And he was like, maybe I'll go back and dump her for you. And that was like the plan, but then he never did. And I remember thinking like, oh, he just thinks I'm just some girl in Kansas City that he met on the road, some like open micer. Because he at the time was like a feature act, which to me was like famous. But I was like, oh, he just thinks I'm like some girl that's like, he's never going to have to deal with. I'm going to become famous just to haunt him the rest of his life. So he has to see my face. And years later, we became, great friends. And he told me he married that woman, by the way. And he's now divorced and he's remarried. Congratulations, Pete Lee. But
good job, Pete.
He remarried that woman. He said that when my show, either on MTV or Comedy Central came out, there were ads on the subway and he was sitting next to his wife who was like, they were already not doing good. And they had to both, and she knew about me because she was like, you have to choose or whatever. And he chose her. And then years later, they're on the train and my poster is like, like wrapped around the train and they can't escape it. And they just have to sit in it and they can't talk about it but they both know. And is that so sick that I love that?
No.
You should want people to be happy, even people that have hurt you.
Yeah.
But it made me feel so good that he was like, it was so awkward walking into that train car that I was really hoping that we would get the one that was like for the Met Gala or the new Met
the Mummy.
Yes, the Mummy. But yeah, I just feel do you have any stories of that?
I have one
of just like sticking it to someone.
Yeah. So I used to have this guy bully me on the way to junior high school. And I think like now when I look back at it, like he just probably liked me. I mean, like he would follow me home and like put snow down my shirt. He was like awful to me. And then like fast forward, I started working in radio and, like where Howard Stern worked, right? So it was like a big deal. And he added me as a friend on Facebook and I go and I see he's clearly a Howard Stern fan and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, good. I'm going to add him so he can see where I work and how cool I am right now. Yes. And he's just this like loser firefighter.
How would he bully you?
Firefighter.
He would
loser job.
Well, I think maybe I told this on the show. Like he would, like I used to have a mustache and he would chase me down King's Highway singing Gillette, the best a man can get. And,
God,
like snow down my shirt. He would just like, I don't know.
He liked you.
Yeah. Crush.
Yeah. I think
crunch.
And now that I like look back at it, like, he was raised by like a single mom. Like he couldn't have had an easy life. But I still enjoyed.
No mustache in his family.
He couldn't grow a mustache actually because he
didn't
had
even
a
know what
scar
one was
over his lip.
Wow.
Oh, whoa! This is very
no dad scar over his lip. He sees you have a mustache and he's like, I want that.
Yeah, he wants her. He wants the mustache.
He's making fun of the thing that he can't have.
You know what? Slogans really fucked kids over. Like, being able to sing like little things like that made bullying.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Why is that in my head? Does that have to be in my head?
That one, I actually do love that one. And every time it comes on, because my friend, a good friend of mine, was in college and he was selling cocaine. He had just gotten into selling coke, and the day, like a week after he was like dabbling in coke sales, it doesn't even matter. He was selling coke on this small college campus in Missouri, and he got narked out by one of the O'Reillys, like one of the lineage of O'Reilly. So,
shit.
And now we always say, oh, O'Reilly. he's a narc. Ow! And so every time I go past an O'Reilly, I flick him off and I send him a picture of it. And so he'll forever hate O'Reilly's.
You ever hear a commercial where they just half-ass? They decide at the last second they need a jingle,
Oh, yeah.
and so they just half-ass it, and they go like Andersons, and it ends like really quickly.
Yes.
Or it doesn't rhyme at all. They're like, Walmart, a place you can go and get food. Like, why can't you make it rhyme at all? Like, there's things that rhyme with Walmart.
My
It's
favorite
not a real one.
jingle that I still remember to this day is the Skip It.
Oh yeah. Skip it, skip right to it.
I don't remember that part, but I like this. But the very best thing of all, there's a counter on this ball. I like a jingle that tells you how to like use a product. It's like you don't have to read the instructions.
I mean,
See if you can
you
beat
got
your
rhyming.
very best
You got
score.
instructions.
See if you can jump a whole lot more. Skip it by Milton Bradley. I loved that counter on the ball.
I loved the
What's
counter
better
on the
than-
ball.
It was the very best thing of all. There's nothing better than a counter on this ball.
Yeah. I wish they would
Whoever
sell the
pitched that
counter
song,
That
separately.
was genius.
I know, that was so cool. That
Just
was
a
the
little
first
pocket
time
counter
like it
so you
just
can look
felt
at-
like this is technology, baby.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
thing can count how many times it's been
Counterweighted,
around.
counterbalanced.
Because all you do as a kid is count how many times
That's
you can do
all.
something. Like
in
a
the
pogo
90s,
stick.
that's
Yeah,
all we
we
had.
were just counting.
Counting
Yes.
beans out there on the
Yeah.
sidewalk.
About
I realized something
Crossfire. You have that? Remember Crossfire?
You'll get caught up in that crossfire.
and then
oh
the
wait,
guy-
I don't like an it. I don't like an it. It's, you'll get caught up in it. No, don't use it in a song.
Not
Yeah,
at
those
the end
two
of a
kids are playing
sentence.
Crossfire in that commercial, and then one of them kills the other and banishes them to hell.
Yeah, there were some
Oh,
brutal
yeah.
things going on in commercials. I will say that people like we were counting so much in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I think that like things have made people stupider now because so I've noticed at Starbucks when you pick up a mobile order, it will have like A to E for like names A to E, F to L, and then M to whatever.
Z.
But okay, so it'll have like a dash, right? Like A dash
F.
E. But I've seen so many people struggle. My N is a hard one. People don't know where to put it.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
it's in the S to Z part. Sometimes it's in the A to F part. Like,
Oh, yeah. God.
and then I've noticed like people don't know the alphabet anymore.
No.
And it's a
Oh my
struggle
God.
for
No.
some people. And maybe it's a dyslexia thing. Maybe it's our, country's education system. But lately I've been going to Starbucks and they have a new system and they just write A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Oh, wow.
H-I-J, and they now spell out the whole
That's
alphabet.
insane.
Oh,
I
my
know.
God.
It's INSANE.
Have you ever tried to get change from someone and then you're like, oh, wait, I have 9 cents, so I can add to this so you get, and they will just like almost cry, like
Yeah, well,
sweat,
math, forget
because
about
they
it.
cannot.
Math is over.
And I'm really bad at math, so I understand. So I'm like, oh, I think you just give me $5. And they're like, no, I don't think so. I want to do this on my own for some reason and struggle. This girl did the other day, she was sweating and like shaking.
Yeah,
You
there
gotta
was.
count up. That's the lesson I learned at the deli. You count up.
I told a really funny joke that I probably shouldn't tell here, but yes, I can because it's just a joke. There was a person that called into Chris's radio show today that was really struggling. Like they were supposed to play this game first 5 notes and like they play 5 notes and then the song is like they just have to guess it, but you always win first 5 notes. So like if you don't know the song, Chris and Tim and Brando and Courtney will like help you get it. So if it's like Bittersweet Symphony, they'll be like when coffee has been left out too long, it's
Like a game of catchphrase.
blank. If you are
Oh.
mad about something, like it's a game of catchphrase,
It
right?
turns into a game of
So
catchphrase.
this guy could not. I mean, it turns out he was 24. He also like was in a car with a lot of loud people, so there was a lot of things going on. But there was a twang in his voice and a kind of
Hoosier.
I was worried that he was just not like that. It was turning into like this is someone who has like a is not been educated and like is struggling and like oh no, like how do they even call into the show?
How do they even dial the phone?
And then at one point they were trying to get him to guess a band that was like it was like OMR or something. I don't know. There's some band like that.
OAR.
No, it wasn't OAR.
OMD,
It was
Orchestral
Yes,
Maneuvers
yes,
in the
OMD. It was
Desert.
that. It was that
OMD.
band. And so they said, "What is the letter after N?" And I wrote to Chris and Tim and I said, I swear I thought he was going to say I. Like, I got so nervous. Like, what letter comes after N? Which I thought was a pretty good joke because he seemed like that from that part of town. No offense that people who use that word I think might be pretty not smart.
Okay.
That seems like a pretty good joke. We'll leave it. All right. We'll come back with more show after this. Okay. So, yeah.
Well, when I was younger, when I was in high school, I had a summer job where I was a game show host of this sleazy guy who was actually named Big Al. He had like a game show that would travel to different summer camps, and I had a little summer job where I would go along with him and be his assistant. And then he would like do this like quiz show with these kids, like a little thing that the kids got to do that day for summer camp, like some bullshit Long Island thing. And one time he let me host the game, which is a very rare opportunity for me. And that was my thing.
Hungover.
I just wanted to be the host. He probably was.
It's like,
that man,
so many things happen when you're a kid because of parents being hungover, teachers being hungover, and you don't think about it till later.
I just realized that like 2 days ago.
Mommy's always
that just
sick.
popped into my head.
Yeah.
It's like, what if my teachers were hungover?
They were.
Yeah,
That's all like
there's
John
a
Mulaney
meme
joke.
about like whenever this would roll in, it's like the TV that is strapped down on the cart. They go, your teacher was hungover, and it's just kind of like, I can't believe that. Okay, so you got to host this event.
Would put me in so much danger. I'd get in his van and we would drive to Maine or someplace where there was a camp, and he would get so tired that he had a little cooler filled with yogurts next to his seat in the van, and he'd have to take out ice and ice water and splash it in his face to stay awake while we were driving. And sometimes I'd be like, can I drive? Just let me drive. Like I was like 17, 18 or something. And he's like, never. You'll never drive the van. Anyway, but he was like falling asleep. So I got to host this one time.
Splash yogurt in his face.
Splash icy yogurt water in his face. Oh, really? I can't keep up. I can't stay awake. What is? And then he'd splash. All right, I'm good. I'm good. They're like, can I just drive? I'll just drive for an hour. No, you'll never drive. And I got to host this one day, and these were like 7-year-olds or something like that. And we were doing the game show for, and one of the kids was like really just not with it. And one of the questions was, what state in America is west of Virginia?
That's hard. 7-year-olds.
Okay, and they couldn't get it. And I was like, okay, what state is west of Virginia? And they're like, oh.
I don't know.
And then I would go,
Can I guess?
Well,
Can we all guess?
You play the kid. You play the kid in this situation.
Okay.
Okay, what state is west of Virginia?
Alabama?
West of Virginia. West. What state is West Virginia?
West Virginia.
Okay, so they didn't get it. And I said, and then everyone just sat there silently. And then I went, well, the answer's Kansas. And then nobody laughed. And then I said, no, I'm just kidding. It's West Virginia. And after the whole thing ended.
I'm so dumb.
After these kids were too dumb to get. I said, what is West Virginia?
No.
I said, I changed it to just, what is West Virginia? Say West Virginia. And then Big Al.
Like this is Celebrity Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Big Al pulled me aside at the end of the day and he said, if you ever do anything like that again, I swear to God, you'll never work another day in your life.
Oh,
yeah.
So he's gonna
you'll never
you?
drive and you'll never work a day in your life.
Because he's like, this isn't a joke.
What are you gonna do?
This isn't a fucking joke. You made this.
This isn't a joke.
You made this a clown
Dude,
show.
Alabama is so far from Virginia.
Yeah.
That
Did you
was
really think
humiliating.
that was the
Yes,
answer?
I don't know geography at all. It's really a blind spot for me. And I just made fun of people who don't know the alphabet. Okay, I take
when
it
you're
back.
flying over, look at the little map.
I don't care to do that.
Oh, it's
and
so fun.
This is like,
do you know where it shows you where you are?
Yeah, I'm asleep. And also
yeah.
I don't it's not that I don't know it and haven't seen it and tried. Like I've had maps in my life before and have surrounded myself with them because this is an insecurity of mine. It just doesn't stick. It's like it doesn't
Geographia.
Yeah, there's something going on.
There's some
that was
easy
really
ones you could get. What's north of California?
That's Oregon.
Yeah, there you go. See, you're not.
What is Missouri's hat?
Iowa.
Oh yeah, that's
that's
because
I live in Missouri, but I did not know that Missouri had 7 states bordering it.
Oh yeah.
Do you know it touches Kentucky on the very tip of the heel?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know it
Only
until recently.
I drove
just the tip.
there.
Wait, I have
didn't
a
know that
question.
before.
Where does Tom Sandoval live?
He's from St. Louis.
He is?
Actually. Yes. Isn't that crazy? He went to Hazelwood West, which I don't know anything about. Do you know anything about that?
Hazelnut.
Because you know that
Hazelnut Acres.
It doesn't tell you about that person.
No,
like, to me, I don't
it
know
doesn't
where
tell you
Hazelwood is.
Hoosier, rich, or anything.
In St. Louis, it's famous that if you live in St. Louis, you ask people where you went to high school. It's like a trait of our city is that everyone asks that.
Oh, wow.
Because we're supposedly we're all trying to figure out people's socioeconomic status by asking that question, which it does say that often if you are saying a private school, but if you say a public school, I really don't know the difference between the parkways.
No,
I don't know. Like there's
Lindbergh, kind of.
So he said Hazelwood West, and then that was the end of our conversation. I was just like, oh, okay.
So you went on his podcast, right?
Yeah, and I was nervous about it because everyone hates him. And the podcast is called Everyone Loves Tom.
Why?
And because he cheated on his girlfriend of 9 years with her friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
On a TV show.
Everyone knows that?
Yes. It was called Standuval. It came out in March of this year. It was like, honestly, the biggest news story of the year. Up there with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Like a celebrity news story is probably the biggest one, like in terms of just people talking about it. Yeah. I went on Nick Vile's podcast. That day I did 5 podcasts, as I told you guys last week. And then the first podcast I did that day was Nick Vile's. And he was talking about how he had talked to Tom about they were on a show together called Special Forces, where they put celebrities in like to train like special forces, whatever.
Oh my God.
So they were like at one point.
You should do it.
I know. I really want to.
It'd be fun.
I don't know. I'd be so scared, but I think I would say yes. But anyway, so they were talking on that show, and Nick said that he asked Tom, like, I think it'd be really cool if you could say on camera that you'll never cheat again, that you'll never do that to someone again. And Tom's like, I can't. I'm not going to say that.
It would be a lie. You never know.
And Nick was like, how can you not say that? And I was kind of like, I don't know that I could say that. Like, even in my wedding vows, if I ever get married, it will be, I hope to never cheat. I don't want to do this to anyone, but I can't say that I never, no one can. How many things in your life as a human being have you thought I would never do that? And then you do it. Like I don't want to get into no free will stuff because this is all connected to that, but it's like, you don't really have control over your impulses and you might act on something that you don't. And I think, yes, some people have a stronger willpower or whatever that is. But I found it. So I said that on Nick's podcast. I started like feeling like I was panicking because I just felt like no one in the room, everyone was just like, what the fuck? You couldn't say that you never cheat. And I'm like, no, because I mean, I could say that I hope to never, and I'm likely to never because it's not something that's in my character to do to someone. Will I be the other woman again? More likely, because I don't see that is as big of a problem. Come at me. I don't want to ever do that again. But I would say that that's more likely than me ever cheating on someone and hurting someone that I like know. Would I do what Raquel did? Probably not. And like cheat with someone who is my friend's boyfriend.
Yeah, crazy.
I don't think that would ever happen. But can I say it would never happen? No, because I am a person that's fallible. And people who think they will never do things don't understand the scope of possibility.
Yeah, it's weird to even say that you wouldn't do something.
So that was my point, and I felt like really weird about it, and I felt bad about it, and I felt like, oh my God, if Chris ever sees this, he's going to think I'm going to cheat on him, or like, and that wasn't my point. My point is that I just don't know what my brain is capable of, and that's just a bigger issue at play. But I thank you so much to this bestie who sent me a clip that made me feel so validated on Instagram of this man asking his wife, who's holding his baby in the clip, if you would ever cheat on me. And what this girl says, I find is exactly what I was trying to say, but she says it in a more, I guess, eloquent and more socially acceptable way.
Could you ever cheat on me?
Absolutely. That's why I don't make dumb decisions like talking to guys one-on-one or hanging out in like compromising situations. Because I'm a human being, you're a human being, and I'm sorry, babe, I don't know if this is hard for you to hear, but everybody is absolutely capable of infidelity in the right/wrong circumstances.
Oh, okay.
That's why boundaries are so important. You're never going to see me in a situation, even if people think I might be too strict, I don't care, because I'm not taking that chance.
Amen.
I'm not putting myself in a position to even be close to a position to potentially fall to temptation. I'm going to keep it 100 because anyone is capable of cheating.
She's going to keep it 100. She's going to keep it down to cheating 100 times.
She already planned that whole statement out.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely rehearsed that. And there's no question. Everything on TikTok is rehearsed.
Wait, maybe if you hold the fan up to the baby also while we're filming.
Yeah, she's like fanning the baby. It's all very set up and rehearsed. They could have found a quieter place to shoot it, but I guess they wouldn't have had the beach background. But I think I just found a flaw in that. She says, I'll never put myself in a position where I'm talking to a guy one-on-one. Well, you can't say that either, but I do like what she's talking about, which is like this. You don't understand the circumstances in which cheating. People always think they're not going to cheat. Do you think people stand and take their vows and think, I'm going to cheat someday, I'm going to get divorced someday? How many people are divorced? Half of people who get married are divorced. How many people walking down that aisle or standing at that altar think they're going to get divorced someday? Probably not that many. I think actually I remember Aziz Ansari when he was working on research for his book that he was writing about modern romance. I saw him a couple times at the Cellar, and I probably said this on the pod before, but it bears repeating. He would be on stage and he would ask, who here's divorced? And then he would say, when did you know? And so often they'd say at the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Because I think a lot of people go ahead with the wedding because it's
planned.
There's so many things behind it. There's so much money put into it. And honestly, divorce seems like less of a hassle than unsending all those invitations because it kind of is.
You can do it privately.
Oh my God. No, divorce is
privately
business.
later.
At your own.
Divorce will drain you of everything you've got.
I know, but if you're in that moment where you've already like booked you're doing a destination wedding, you've already put like $30,000 down,
and the family pressure.
Yeah.
And the family, and everyone's gotten the invites, and you have to send 200 people a follow-up saying we're not doing this anymore. And everyone's already bought their tickets to go, and you're having doubts 2 weeks out. I don't know about you. I'd probably just go through with it and say, I'll just handle the fall. I know the divorce will be way messier. That at least I won't have to tell everyone.
No,
and
you don't
be
have to
so
send
embarrassed.
everybody an invitation to your divorce. And then people just quietly find out about it over in little trickles over the years.
I would hope that I would be smart enough to be like, I'm just going to stand up for what I believe in this moment and like just do what's right for me. But I don't think that I would. I'm someone who's very susceptible to, I've put people out. I've got to just go through with it.
I think everybody would do that.
It would be
just
nice.
Deny it. You just put it in the back of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm imagining this. I don't really think this. It's just nervousness.
Yes. Cold feet.
Yeah.
I mean, we have terms for all of these things. Cold feet is just, that's a fake thing because you're scared of committing. But like, no one ever goes, well, maybe you should be because we live really long now.
Yeah.
And this isn't like
you're not going to die in childbirth in 2 years when you're 24.
Yes, exactly.
You're stuck.
But you're stuck. It's
you're going to have to go on cruises with this person when you're 68.
Yes. I'm making the joke, but I really do think 40 is too young to get married. And I don't really think I plan on living till 90, and I love Chris and I would love to be with him until I'm 90. But that is a really long time to commit to something. Yeah. And I think it's too long. If anything, it's too long for him to commit to me. That's too much pressure for me to be one person for someone forever. I would hope that it would go that long, but I don't need to tether myself to that time frame anytime soon. I'm a little nervous. So anyway, Tom Sandoval's podcast, I want to just follow this up. I went on there. We had a really good time. I just like gave him shit the entire episode. But then we also got into some stuff of like, I really did go in, like I said I would last week. And I said, so I said something like, are you going to kill yourself soon? Like, we really want to know, like, because people wanted his head. And everyone's just like, it's not enough. Whatever no matter how much he apologizes, he's always making excuses. His apology is always an excuse. He's a cheater forever. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Damn him to hell. He should lose everything. I'm not saying what he did was okay. But I really think the reproach which he has been met with is so insanely just harsh. And
it's not anybody's business.
They've made it people's
show.
business because he's a reality show. And
I mean, it is literally everyone's business.
Okay, sorry, I don't know.
It's from Vanderpump Rules, is that show.
Oh, okay.
So, and they've been on the air for 11 seasons.
You took our money.
Yeah, it's kind of it's our business, but I just don't think that. So luckily that joke worked out where I was like, I'm just checking in. Are you gonna die soon? Because that's what we all want.
How are you gonna do it?
That's the only way this is
really is what we want to know.
I should have
Cannonball?
asked. It like at first, I think if I'm remembering correctly, it at first was like there's sometimes when you tell a joke like that, and I don't think most people know this feeling. Actually, I think most people do. Everyone can relate to telling a joke where you're like, I don't know if this is gonna go over.
Every second.
I can relate to that a lot. And like there is a 0.8 seconds, 0.4 seconds where it is like up in the air of if it's like a slow motion, is he gonna catch it? Like sports movie. And that happened in that moment, and then it landed, and then they laughed, and I was like, "Oh, thank God!" But so then,
well, you have a benefit of the doubt because you're a famous comedian. So whenever you say anything, if it's slightly confusing to somebody, they'll just laugh.
Yeah, they just assume.
That's a good point. No, they were really generous with laughter, and Tom Schwartz, who's also on Vanderpump, was there. It was nice that I'm not familiar with the Vanderpump show at all because these people are massive celebrities to anyone who watches the show, and I didn't care at all. Like, I think. They're the type of people that I'm like, oh, I would love these. I would be like kind of nervous right now because these guys are like, I could tell they're reality stars. They're good at what they do and they're interesting. I'm like, I would be so nervous right now if I cared, you know, but I was glad that I didn't. But afterwards, at the end of the podcast, towards the end, it's on air. You can listen to it. They're like, we're talking about singing because he sings and he's in a cover band and he's actually a really good singer. And people make fun of him not being good. He's actually really good. I heard it with my own ears. I heard it with my own eyes. And he was like, we should go do karaoke tonight. I'm like, I have a set. And I'm like, also we're on air. So I'm like, sure. Yeah. So, but also there was a part of me that was like, I love karaoke and I only do it like once a year on my birthday. Like I would.
So good.
This person knows where karaoke is going on tonight. He's like, oh, there's a great spot. Final thought. So I agreed on air. I said I'd have to go do a set. And also that day I'd been up since 6 a.m. I had done 5 podcasts. Yeah, 6? 5?
Oh, I don't know.
6. I think I did 5, including hours. And so I was just like worn out, but I was kind of still energized. Like, we just had like it was a really good podcast to end the day. He made some kind of mocktail that I think had 0 proof tequila in it, but I think even 0 proof tequila has something that gave me like,
I was kind of like decaf.
Yeah.
It's like de-alc.
Yeah, there's trace. And so I was just feeling maybe the placebo of it. And I was like, yeah, I'll fucking sing karaoke. So then after we wrapped, he was like, I'm serious. Let's go. There's like a place and like, we'll all meet up. And so everyone was like, let's go do karaoke. And I was like, all right. So I went and got in the car and I went and did my set. And then he's like, I went back to my hotel to like eat dinner. And then I was texting him being like, when's karaoke? And he's like, probably not till 10. And it literally is at a place right next to my hotel. It's at the Saddle Ranch. And I'm like, and it's 9:00 and I'm like, I'm not going to make it. And I was like, I'm sorry, Tom. I would love to go do karaoke another night when I'm in town because that does sound so fun, but I can't do it tonight. And he was like, thank God, I don't know this person. So I'm glad that he was not like, come on, dude. Or like, oh, that sucks. He was just like, oh, did you do 5 podcasts today? Yeah, I think you probably have a reason. He was like, yeah, and he was like, and he goes, and I know a spot tomorrow. That's great karaoke. I love that this guy goes out and does karaoke all the time. I think this needs to be my life. So
it could.
The next night, we went and did, I thought I was going to bail. I got to be honest with you, because the next day I had to do the talk, and then I had to do 2 different podcasts, and then another like radio thing. And so it was a long day the next day as well. But he followed up and was like, hey, during the day, he was like, hey, you still down for karaoke tonight? Barney's Beanery, which is, again, a couple blocks away from where I'm staying. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And he was like, and I have a gift for you. And I was like, what? All right. And I was like, I can't wait to see what this is. Like, what's it going to be? And so I go and I meet up, and he's there with this man in the booth that he introduced me to, his friend Kyle. And we're all just talking, and I'm getting to talk to him more about like the scandal and all that stuff. And, he's dating now, and we're talking about that and just what that life is like. And it's at this Barney's Beanery place. It's really fun. And I'm like kind of nervous about doing karaoke because it's like packed, and it's like the biggest scene right now is going to Barney's Beanery. Of all places, it used to be just like 50-year-old alcoholics at Barney's Beanery when I lived there. And now it's like, there's a line out the door because it's like a TikTok destination. So there were a bunch of F-boys there too. Not a bunch. Marco from F-Boy Island.
Whoa.
Who lives in LA. And Marco like got us in. He like runs that place.
He was there by coincidence?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Tom on the way, he goes, I found your buddy. And he sends me a selfie of him and Marco. And I was like, oh my God, oh good. Because I was trying to get Carla to go with me because I was like, I get nervous pulling up on a hang with a bunch of people I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
And he's referencing people from the show that I don't know. Like he's used to everyone knowing everyone in his life. And I was just like, I don't know. So then I was like, where is this fucking present that I showed up for? Like, I don't want to say like, where's the gift you said you got me? But like, we're hanging out and it actually is really fun and I'm enjoying the conversation. It's not too loud. I'm kind of impressed with Gen Z of like, oh, they're all sitting in booths and it seems really like not too drunk and not too loud. I was like, I kind of like this vibe. And then he goes, oh, Kyle, give her the thing. So Kyle is like, so I'm a jewelry designer. And I'm like, oh my God, cool. And he was like, and I actually did the earrings for Taylor Swift in her Karma video. And I was like, no way. Like, I know those earrings. I definitely looked up the price points, couldn't afford to get them. You guys know I do Taylor Swift styled and I follow that account and I buy everything that's under $400 that Taylor Swift owns, even if I don't like it. It's so true. And except I think the shoes she's wearing this weekend are $340 and I did like them. The ones she wore to the game last night, they're black, like platform. Oh, not platform, but like they're like loafer heels. I just don't see them looking good with my legs. Anyway, so he pulls this bag out of his pocket and it says Kyle Chan, KyleChanDesign.com, Kyle Chan, CHAN. And I open up this little box and inside are the same earrings from the Taylor Swift music video that he made for her. They're not the ones she wore. I think she had, and they are, I mean, I looked at the price point, you guys, $3,500.
Oh my God.
And this was the gift that Tom Sandoval set up for his friend to give me out of the kindness of his heart. So I want to shout out to Tom. Thank you so much. I think it was like, just a gift to say thank you for doing the podcast. Because no one else wants to do it. Just kidding. It was so nice that he went out of his way to call his friend, to have his friend go and like give me these. And shout out to Kyle for gifting me your amazing earrings that I will now. Wait, where did the other one go? What the fuck?
It's in the bag.
It is? It's in
She's
the bag.
never going to let them leave.
No, I just took out one.
Uh-oh.
Where's the other? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh my God.
I'm just really panicked.
Disaster.
These are worth $17.50. Good job. Good
Down the
math.
track.
Oh my God. But because he did this for me, I will definitely, when I need to wear some really nice jewels for something, I will support him at some point. But I would never spend this much money on earrings in my whole life. And now I have these earrings. Don't rob me. My mom would go, Nikki, do not tell people that you have those. They are going to break into your house. It
would have been great if it would have been funny if you so I did the earrings for Taylor Swift and they gave you that box and they gave you that bag and you open it and inside is just like a note that says eat shit or something like that. And then he goes, no,
you can't have them.
no, I'm just kidding. Here are these
He's like,
earrings.
you are a bad guy, Tom. No, that was so above and beyond nice. I will always, Tom Sandoval could cheat on me 1,000 times over and I will still love you. It was really nice and yeah, it's so funny. Like, honestly, I was saying on the girls' chat the type of things he could do, and I would still be like, he's a good guy. Like, all it takes is like, a guy that is like everyone's mad at culturally and is maybe problematic. And if they're nice to me, I like them.
Honestly, all they would have to be like is like, you're cool.
That's how it
if
used
they
to
say
be.
you're cool, then I think you're cool too. It's like Trump. You know, it's like if they like you, then there's nothing you could do that would make you say they're bad.
I have nightmares where a Trump walks in the room that I'm in and I like him like, hi, like I'm nice to him. I can't help it because I don't know. I hate him so much, but I don't know that I could be like, fuck you, motherfucker. Like
because he didn't do anything to you. It's hard
he
to
has.
be. Yeah, not to you specifically. It's hard to be mean to somebody and you're like, your wheels start
he'd call
spinning.
me fat and ugly. That's really what I'm scared of. And like, I'm so scared. I have such it locked in my brain of like people like that being just, he would say that.
Or what's his nickname for you
to hurt you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dry nose.
Dry nose over here.
Someone trying to beat my spray tan.
Can I just say, now that I'm thinking about it, I've been thinking about the TikTok woman who was saying she's not going to cheat, and I realized that what she was saying is insane.
Really?
She's like, I'll never put myself in a position where I'm in a room alone with another man.
Yeah.
Well, so what's she
because
gonna
I know
do?
I would cheat.
So if
She
there's
doesn't go to doctor's offices.
yeah, like right. If she's like talking to a guy, she's like, no, we need another man in here. So I don't fuck you.
I will say that my dad also has said this, where he's like, my dad is not a cheater and never has cheated my mom, and my dad's a good-looking guy who took many business trips. and I believe him when he says he's never cheated. But he once said to me, and it's maybe not the best thing that you ever want to hear, but he says, I don't put myself in situations where it could happen. And that's how I don't cheat. And that's not what you want to hear. You want to just hear like, no, I love your mom so much that it could never happen. But he's like, women have tried to isolate me and get things going, and I won't do it.
Can't you have both? I won't. Can't he love your mom and also not put himself in those situations?
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's why he doesn't put himself in the situations is because he does love my mom. But I think people want to just believe their husbands aren't tempted by those things.
No, everybody's tempted.
He would never even think to.
The decision to cheat is not just one decision. It's many decisions that lead towards the final decision, which is not even a decision at all.
Sage.
I think that's the last thing I'll say about that is very true. I've been trying to work on this joke about quitting smoking pot and how it's been so hard for me. And I'm like, it's so funny to struggle quitting something that like takes so many steps to do. Like I could say like if I'm trying to quit saying like, it's hard because it just is like, it comes out of me.
Yeah.
But like you have to get an apple, put a Bic pen into it, spin it around, then take out the seeds, drill another hole. Oh wait, that one didn't work. It punched through too much. Drill one more
Get
hole.
a soda can.
Then go meet a man in a parking lot, exchange money for drugs, piece it apart, put it in, put apple up to mouth, light with the Bic pen.
Takes forever to
find a corridor with no wind. Like there's so many things. It's like just don't
Make
do
sure
it.
No
you idiot.
adults are looking at you.
Like it's so funny to say I'm trying to quit something that takes so many
steps. Go and get it. You have to take a walk. Go get it.
Even now with dispensaries, like I had to walk indoor, open door, wait in line, show ID.
Be under bright lights. Like try to understand all the different dosages.
Make small talk with bud tender. And act like that's an okay term to call yourself. All right, guys, we got to go. Thank you for listening to the podcast. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't be see me on tour. I will be in. Where am I going this weekend? Oh my god. Oh my god! I'm going in the Midwest. You guys, come out to shows. I'm going to be at Wilco on Thursday night in St. Louis. If anyone wants to see me there, then I will be in Milwaukee on Friday night. Then Riverside, Iowa on Saturday, and then in Lawrence, Kansas, my alma mater. I think that's the right thing to say on Sunday, the 29th. And so I hope to see you there to shows. And I'll talk about tomorrow what the bestie told me in line yesterday about a story that happened to him. So if you're listening, bestie, and you said to me, I will die if you talk about it on the show. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. All right, see you then. Bye. Just wait till tomorrow and you'll hear that story.
Yeah.